Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. I am so glad that you are joining me. In this tutorial, we are going to make this adorable teddy bear. Like, isn't it just like so cute? I am so excited too because I am venturing into the flatbed knitting machine world. And in this tutorial, I'm going to use my Studio 155 bulky knitting machine and Loops and Threads Carousel twist yarn. I'll have the yarn particulars down in the description box below, so please have a look there. Now, I will tell you right from the beginning that I am new to the flatbed knitting machine world, and I'm going to try to take some of my circular knitting patterns and convert them onto the machine, flatbed machine, and hopefully you can enjoy them as well. And so I'm excited about this journey, and I thank you for your patience as I learn. And I thank you for your support, and thank you for joining me. I would really love to see the bear that you make. So please come on over to my Facebook group. The link will be down in the description box below. And when you have a teddy bear completed, show me and show the rest of us in my group. I have a fairly large group over there, and we would love to be inspired by you and would love to have you as a part of that group so that you can be inspired as well. It's a wonderful group of crafters. I just love my family over there. And so friends, if you are posting in other groups too, please always share the link, and that would help to support my channel and help others to find me, and that would be just something I would appreciate so very, very much. So thank you for considering doing that as well. All right, so once you have your machine ready and you have your yarn of choice picked out, then let's get going on this cute bear, which by the way is 11 and about 1/4 inches high, and around the widest part of the body is about 16 inches. So it's a very, very nice size teddy bear that any kid is going to love to hold. All right, so thanks again for joining me. I sure appreciate you. The yarn I'm using is Loops and Threads Carousel Twist, and it is a bulky 5, and it's called Blue Jean, well, just jean shorts. That's a cool color name. It's called Jean Shorts, and we're going to use this on our Studio Model 155, my bulky machine. It's a 9mm gauge machine. But before we do, I'm going to roll this into a cake. There we go. All right, friends, we are going to get started. I'm going to move my carriage over here, put that down a little bit just so you can see better. I'm trying to get a good camera angle for you. But we're going to set our carriage, making sure that these side levers are back. We're going to make sure that our Russell levers are down. So in numeral, Roman numeral number 2, number 1 is for holding, and we don't have to use the holding position for this particular project. We're going to make sure that our brushes are up, don't need to use them. We're going to make sure that our lever here is on stockinette, and we're going to do tension 7 throughout our project, but I'm going to set it to 10 for the first row after my cast on. All right, and then we'll move it to tension 7. So now that we have that set up, we're going to move that over to the far right, and we're going to pull out our needles. For this particular project, for the main body and the head, we're going to use 30 needles on either side of 0. So pull out 30 needles on either side of 0. There we go. I have all 60 needles pulled out. And now we're going to take our yarn, and we're going to do an E-wrap. So to do an E-wrap, we want to make sure that we have some slack coming out of our cake there. I'm going to wrap around my finger, go through that loop, grab the yarn tail, and there we go. Now when I am, let's just make this loop big. When I'm pulling on my tail that's coming out of my yarn cake, that's the one that will make my loop smaller, okay? So I want to have that on the right side, and I'm going to pop this loop over needle 30 on the left side. Taking a clip, I'm going to clip that tail just to give it a little bit of weight and hold it down. We're going to do the E-wrap for this project. So I'm going to take that yarn, and I'm going to go between, we've got our loop on needle 1 here, which is the 30th needle on the left. We're going to go in between 2 and 3, and we're going to go up, then over that needle and down on the left of the needle. So we're going to wrap this 3rd needle here. So we're going to go between that one and the next one. We're going to come up, we're going to go over, and then down on the left side. I always put my thumb over top of my strand there. It helps to control the yarn, and that just works for me. So come up on the left, over the needle, down on the right. Up on the left, over the needle, down on the right. And we're gonna E-wrap. Oops, that one's snagged, so let's take that one off. We're gonna E-wrap all 60 needles. I need to take some slack out of my ball here. It's giving me some hassles. And here we go. So up on the right, over the needle, down on the left. You're not pulling those loops too tight. You just want them nice and fitted to the needle, but a little more loose than tight. First row is a little bit hard to knit if they're too tight. All right, so I'm gonna E-wrap all 60 needles. Just like this. Sorry for the funny angle, but you know what? It is so hard to record when you have a long flatbed like this. It's hard to get it in the camera, so I hope that it's okay for you, all right? And so now we're going to just push those first ones back. I'm going to bring my carriage over, open the latch to my yarn feeder, and I'm gonna pop my yarn tail in there just like that. All right, now before we do our first row, we are going to push back all these loops close to the needle bed. It helps to make it easier for the carriage to knit the first row, just like that. We have our carriage tension at number 10, and I have my mass tension set at 5, and I'm going to go across. There we go. That was a little tough, but we made it. Then I'm going to take my weights and I'm going to hang them, making sure that I get the end loops and pull down. I have 3 of these. I'm going to concentrate on the end one first. Pull that last needle back a bit to make that loop a little bit larger, maybe the second last one as well. Get that in there. I'm going to put my 3rd one in the middle. Oh, it works out perfectly. There we go. I'm going to pull down on those, and now I'm ready to knit my 2nd row, but before I do that, I'm going to change my tension to 7. And that's where I'm going to remain for the rest of this piece. Now, my row counter should show 1, and now we're going back row 2. There we go, row 2, and 3, 4, and that's 5, and 6. Friends, we're gonna go back and forth like that for 60 rows, all right? Every 10 or 15 rows, I'm going to move my weights up just to make sure that I'm not going to mess up, especially the end stitches, and just it keeps it nice and the tension nice and uniform, and it's important to do. So there we go. That's row 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oops, my cake yarn was getting caught around my accessories. So that's 14. I'm going to move these up. Take them up close to the edge. Make sure you're getting that last end stitch on. There we go. And I'm going to keep going back and forth until I have 60 rows, and I'm going to move my weight every 15 or 20 rows. All right, I'll see you in a bit. My cake just fell off the back of the table, so that's my cue to shut the camera off and keep going. I'll see you when you get to 60 rows. Have fun, friends. I have completed 60 rows. I'm going to remove my weights. I hope that went well for you and you didn't encounter any difficulties along the way. We're going to cut off a long tail that's long enough to go the length of our piece by at least 2 times. Sorry if you hear a lawnmower in the background. My husband's out my window mowing the lawn. And we're going to take that out of our feeder. Pop that tail on a needle. Now I like to use a plastic needle because it's a little bit bendable and it helps me to get through my stitches here. We're gonna thread that and we're going to do the drawstring cast off again. I'm going to push my stitches back and my needles forward. You don't have to do the whole bed right now, but do a good amount. Then we're going to take our needle and we're going to pop it into that first stitch, just like that, and then into the center of the second stitch and the third. I pull down on my work a little bit as I get under there, and I do about 4. Pull that up. Once you get started here, it'll be easier. And there we go. Then I take the tension off just so that I can push these needles back and release them. And I'm going to do 4 more into the center of that stitch, and the next, and the next, and the next. If you're only comfortable taking 3, then that's fine, or 2, or however many you want. You like. You can keep going if that's easy for you too. So you do the amount of stitches that works for you and that you feel comfortable doing. Then I release them and let this drop, and I continue going into that stitch, into the next, into the next. Pull down to help me get into there, and pull up. There we go. Pop that in between and release those ones. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that all the way across my work. Sometimes if it feels tight, just take 3. And if you want to just take a few more before you release those, you can do that too. Just pull them out. But I find that if I push those back and drop those stitches, it makes it a lot easier. So that is what I would encourage you to do. Pull that through. Now I'm going to release these. And this one as well. All right, keep going across your bed just like that. I'm gonna move my needles up. I'll take 3. This yarn likes to twist a little bit, so I think 3 will be a quicker cast off than doing 4. And you don't figure that out till you get going. So there we go, we have our piece. It's beautiful. I love the coloring in this yarn. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're gonna stretch it lengthwise and widthwise all the way across. Then I'm gonna meet you over at my workstation and we're going to sew this piece up before we move on. All right, friends, we have our beautiful piece off the machine. I have my tail end already placed onto my metal wool needle. I love these needles. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I use these all the time. I get them on Amazon. I'll link them below. But they come in 3 different sizes, and they've got a little loop that's easy to thread, but they're sturdy, so they're easy to get into your stitches. For this part of the project, I don't want to use a bendable one. I want to use a firm one. All right, and we're going to start on our cast on edge, which is right here. All right, and this is where we cast off, because if I pull on this, it's gonna tighten that and cinch it together. So I'm gonna start down here. What we're gonna do is we're going to take both edges. We're not gonna cinch the ends yet. We're going to leave that till we have this part done. You're gonna find a row where the wide part of your stitch goes to the left and the point is at the base. That's how I do it. Now you can choose to use the very edge stitches here, or you can make it easier on yourself and just find the next row, which is what I do. So this is going to be on the inside anyway, so you don't see it. So I'm going to find a row where I can easily work with, and that's this one here. The point of the stitch is to the right and the wide part is on the left, and I find that on both sides. I've seen people do the Kitchener stitch where, you know, it doesn't matter if the point of the V is going to the left and the wide part is at the base going to the right, but I prefer to do it this way. All right, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to find that first row where I can get into that stitch too, and I'm going to get into the center of that first stitch, pick up that bar, go up one more, pick up the next bar, pull through. I'm going to come down to this side. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take that first stitch and I'm going to go into 2 stitches and I'm going to pull through. And I'm going to have to join. I know it. I know it. I know I'm going to have to put more on there, but that's okay. So my yarn tail is coming out of this stitch right here. So I'm going to go back into that stitch. I'm going to pick up 1, 2. Come across, and you don't have to pull it tight yet. Come across, go into the stitch that it's coming out of and go 1 and 2 and pull through. I'll tighten it in a bit. We'll do about 10 stitches and then we'll tighten it. It's easier to see where it's coming out. Here's where it's coming out. I'm going to go into that same stitch and I'm going to pick up 2 bars. Into the same stitch here and pick up 2 bars. Into the same stitch that I came out of here, pick up 2 and pick up 2. And then I can pinch down here. You can see there's my crisscross stitches right there. I'm going to pull on that. Pinch at the base and pull on your tail. There we go. It's beautiful. A beautiful join. You don't even see that you've been sewing there. It's just perfect. So I'm going to continue that all the way up. This is curling on me quite a bit more than I like, so I'm going to fight with it just for a bit, but I'm going to go into that side, pull through, come back to this side, go through 2, this side, go through 2, this side, go through 2, pick up 2, pick up 2. So I'm going in where I came out, picking up the next 2 bars, going to the other side, going in where I came out, picking up the next 2 bars. I'm going to do several, then I'm going to pinch where I last ended off, which is right there, and I'm going to pull. With this thick yarn, don't go too far because then it makes it harder to pull, but there we go. We're joining it beautifully. And I'm going to continue all the way up until I get to the top, and when I get there, I'll meet you back. I made it to the top and I'm just going to close off that one. Little section there. You don't want to pull so tight that you start to gather in there. If that happens, you want to make sure that you pull it so that you have a nice straight seam there with absolutely no gathering. And then we're going to take that tail. We're going to tie this one off. So I'm just going to go around the leg, the last leg of the stitch that I picked up, just so it's not going to compromise my gather. Just one little knot there. Pick it up again. Go through. I'm just going to take this into the back. I'll show you the seam in just a second, which you're not going to see anyways because it's on the inside of your bear. But I'll show you, just so you can see how pretty it is. There it is. That's our seam. It's a pretty thick seam because it's thick yarn and I went half a row over. So that's what that looks like. We're going to now take a piece of yarn that is 1.5 times around, and we're going to do our drawstring in the center here. So grab another piece of yarn that goes around 1.5 times at least, and we're going to work on separating the body from the head. All right, I have my yarn on my needle, and I'm going to grab my tape measure here, and we're going to see just how long this is. It's almost 11 inches, so 5.5 would be center. I'm going to go to 6. So put my finger there. I'm going to go up the 1/2 inch. I want my head to be a little bit smaller than the length of my body, so I'm going to start it right in here. And that's about as accurate as you need to be. You don't have to be any more accurate than that. Just a little bit above center is what you're looking for. I'm going to start where my back seam is. I'm going to pick up one whole stitch. So 2 bars, 1, 2, that's 1 whole stitch. Go over a stitch, pick up a stitch, go over a stitch, pick up a stitch, pull through, leaving a tail. And I'm going to continue that all the way around. Over a stitch, under, over, under, over, under. And flatten that out if you need to. And go over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way around until you get to the other side, and then I'll meet you back. Once we have that around, I'm just gonna cut it off to make it a more manageable length. And we're gonna just leave that for now. We're gonna go up to the top where we cast off, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to cinch our end closed. Make sure that you smooth this out as you go. Make it nice and neat. Don't just pull it tight and let it be what it is. You have to smooth it out and work it so that it's nice and neat. And then you keep pulling. You can cut this off a bit too because it gets pretty long. Looks like I have a stitch there. If this happens to you, where you missed a stitch, you know, I had wondered when I took it off if I had missed that one stitch. And lo and behold, I did. So what I'm going to do here is a teaching moment. I'm going to take a stitch marker and I'm going to catch that little loop there. And then when we are going around to reinforce the top, we'll pick it up. So it's not a major deal at all. We're just going to keep pulling tight. I'm going to pop this yarn tail onto my needle. With thick yarn, it's hard to get this center really closed tight. Got a little bit of a looser stitch there. And then we're going to just pick up the very top row of stitches, just like this. Go in there and grab it as though you're cinching a beanie. And then go around, pick up some more. And pull. Smooth it out so you can get under all those stitches. When you're pulling with a metal needle, now this might be common sense, but yet I've broken these plastic things very easily. If you pull on your needle and you put too much stress on that plastic thing, it's going to eventually pop out of there. So always grab your yarn tail and pull on that as you tighten it. So I'm going to go around. Pull a little bit more. And then when I get to the stitch marker, I'm just going to pick it up. Pick up that loop. I can take off my stitch marker. And pull through. And we've rescued that stitch. Now this is just a loose stitch. It's not something that I've missed. I'm going to tuck that in there. And we're going to just go in front of it. Coming in and pulling until we can get that top part closed. There we go. That is enough. So I'm going to pick up a couple stitches and tie off in a knot. Take my thumbnail and pop that knot down. Do it one more time. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to just pop it into the center, get it out of the way, give it a little tug, and that knot just slips right into the center. We're going to cut that off. We're going to add a drawstring to our base here where we had our E-wrap cast on. We're going to do that, and then we're going to stuff it with our fiber fill. So go ahead, grab yourself another strand of yarn. And we're going to pick up these very top loops. If you hold it so that the right side is up and the end is away from you, it's easier to see those stitches. Then when you roll them up, you see all these little loops that go across here. You're going to just weave in and out of them all the way around. leave a tail on this side, of course. Fold that up and go back in and out of those little loops. That will give us a drawstring so that we can close our base once we have it stuffed. All right, continue all the way around and I'll be back with you when I get there. I have made it all the way around and I just cut these off a little bit shorter to make it a little bit easier. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna grab our safety eyes. Now I have two different ones here and we're gonna grab fiber fill, but we're gonna do the fiber fill first. But I wanna show you the eyes here. For this pink one, I used safety eyes that we sew on. So they're like button eyes, and you take actually your yarn on a needle or your thread and a needle, and you sew them on. And that's what I did for these ones. So I made my bear, had it completely done up, and I put this little nose on before I put my eyes on. If you want to use safety eyes that you push in, now these ones here are 15 millimeter, and I've got push-in ones that are 20 millimeter. I wanted to try those and see what they look like on the next one. Might be too big. I'm going to put them in and not put the backs on just to see what I think. But before we can do that, we have to, and these ones actually, I'll show you. They have a little black shiny piece that you put on the inside, and it just makes it sparkle a little bit. I don't know if you can see that in camera, but I bought these eyes on Amazon, and they come in lots of different sizes, and every size only has one color of insert that fits it. So I'm a little disappointed in that. I wish that every size had a variety of different colors, but this particular one has black. So we're going to see if they look too big or if they're good. So my pink one, like I said, was 15 millimeter eyes. So I'm gonna grab my fiber fill. We're gonna pop it up into the head. And I always pull it apart. I think it goes further, and I think it's a little bit softer when you work with it that way, rather than just grab it out of your bag here and put it in, because it's all compacted in the bag. So I'm just trying to loosen it up a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna fill it right down into the body. It's a nice tight weave, so you can tight stitch, so you can actually fill it quite full. Get it nice and firm. And there we go. I'm going to just pull this a little bit just to see where I'm at here. I'm going to take this back one and I'm going to tighten that a little bit. Not a lot, just, well, I'm not gonna tie it off yet. I'm gonna just put it so that I can get a general idea where I want my eyes to be. So let's tighten it, give it a spin. Here's where I always wish I had like another set of hands. There we go. It's good enough just to get an idea. And I'm gonna just put these little eyes in there. I can tell already they're too big. 15 millimeter or 18 if you have would be perfect. Those are too big. I don't like them. I can tell already. So I'm going to go ahead and continue stuffing these, because the only 15 millimeter ones that I have are the ones that you sew on. So you can position where your eyes are, and if you're going to use ones that have a back on them that you have to, your safety eyes that you have to put on, generally, if I know I'm giving this to a child, I will put a hot glue gun, like hot glue, into the center there before I pop it onto my eye, and then push it nice and tight, and that gives it some little extra security there. But for these, and then you would take out your stuffing from the base here now, and then that would help you to get your eyes on, and then you go ahead and stuff it again. But I don't like the size of these, so they're too big. So I am going to go ahead and close this up, and then I can put these on afterwards, and we're all good. So I'm going to just give this a little bit more stuffing. It's almost perfect. And I like the button eyes because I actually like to put my eyes on after, if I'm honest. Then once it's all stuffed and completely formed, I think I get a better judgment of where I want them to be. And I think that that is perfectly stuffed. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to close the base by pulling these tight, giving them a tie. And then I'm gonna just put one of these strands on my needle and I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna close that up till it's tight, tie a knot and hide my end. Go ahead and do that as well, and I'll meet you back when you have that finished. There we go. I have the bottom done and I have my ends tied off and hid. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to work on our neck. Now, another thing you can do, friends, if you don't want to put this line in at the beginning, you can stuff it and it'll look like a bean, a kidney bean. And then once it's stuffed, you can go ahead and put this yarn tail in as well. Measure it from here to there and find halfway point and go maybe a row up. Don't go too much above midway. And then you can put your line in after as well. So either way works. So I'm gonna do a surgical knot, is what somebody has told me it's called. So once, and then twice, and then it'll hold a little bit better. And then I like to give it a spin to twist that. And then I find I can tie it better. I have a hard time doing this with just my two hands. There we go. Let's just see. I think that's good. So then I'm going to tie off in a knot and hide my tails. Now, if I didn't find this to be tight enough, I could go around and tighten it one more time, but I think that's good. I did loosen the bottom a little bit before I completely tied off this end here, and I put a little bit more stuffing in it. I didn't think it was full enough. So now it's perfect, and that's part of crafting, isn't it? Especially with yarn projects. You do what you think is good, and then you tweak it. You pay attention to those details and you fix what you need to fix, and then you have a much nicer finished project. So I always tell, if you're watching my videos, you know I repeat that all the time. I say, pay attention to the details. It's very important. And there we go. Let us move on to the arms. We're going to make the arms on our machine. So let's go back to our bulky knitting machine, grab your yarn, and let's work on the arms, and we're going to make the ears at the same time. All right, so the nice thing about this project is that all the pieces are made the same way. You're just going to use a different needle amount and a different row count. So we're going to make the arms together, and I'm just going to get you started. Then I'm going to let you know what you're going to do for the ears as well. So for the arms, we're going to bring out 9 needles on either side of 0. So 9 and 9, that makes 18. And over 18 needles, we are going to do our E-wrap cast on, just like we did before. Just gonna get you started here. Onto that first needle, up on the right side, around and down on the left, up on the right side, around and down on the left of the needle. And we're gonna E-wrap all 18 of our needles. We're going to then pop this into our yarn feeder on the carriage. Lock the guide there. We're going to set our row counter to 10, or pardon me, our tension to 10, because the first row we're going to do on 10 tension. I'm going to put a clip there. I'm going to push all of these back to the needle bed, just because that'll help me knit my first row. We're going to set our row counter to 0. We're going to knit 1 row in tension 10. There we go. I'm going to make this last loop a little bit wider. Remember I said pull it back sometimes. And then we're going to hang our weights. Just need 1 for this little piece. And you're going to knit 18 rows. After you have your 18 rows knit, you're going to do your drawstring cast off like we did for the body, and you're going to make 2 arms. All right, so over 18 needles, 9 on either side of 0. Then you're going to knit the first row at tension 10, change it to tension 7, and you're going to knit the next 17 rows in tension 7, and then you're going to cast off with a drawstring cast off, and you're going to make 2. All right, so 18 rows for the arms over 18 needles. Then you're going to cast on the exact same way for the ears, but you're going to go over 11 needles on either side of 0. So our ears will be on 22 needles. You're going to do the E-wrap cast on for your ears as well. You're going to do your first row in tension 10, hang your weights. Then you're going to do 17 more rows in tension 7. All right, so again, the ears are over 22 needles, 18 rows, and you're going to do the drawstring cast off for that as well. All right, so that's what you're going to do for your arms and your ears. Get all 4 pieces done, and I'll see you for assembly. I have my arms off the machine. Let's just set one of them aside. We're going to take that piece and we're going to stretch it widthwise and lengthwise just to get it all in its proper place. And we're going to take that one edge and we're going to cinch it closed. Pop this on our needle. We're going to reinforce around the top once. So I'm just going to join it on this end here by going under that first stitch. Just that top row of stitches, just like that, and pulling, and then picking up the top layer all the way around. Give that a little snug up there. And there we go, made it around once. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add one little knot just to hold it in place before we seam up the side. Pull that knot down with my thumb just like that. We've got a nice end. Now we're going to mattress stitch this side together, these 2 sides. So I'm going to just line them up. Come up to the top here. I'm going to find my row where the wide part of the stitch is going to the left, just like that, and the point of the V is down there. I see it right there, that row there too, and I'm going to do the mattress stitch. So I'm going to go into that top stitch, pick up that first bar, and then the second one, pull through, go into that top stitch, pick up 2 bars, come through. Here's where I came out, so I'm going to go back into there, pick up 2. Here's where I came out, I'm going to go back into there, I'm going to pick up 2, and again, I'm going to do this all the way down. Very quick. This needle is the bendy one. I should have put my metal wool needle on because it doesn't bend. I find doing this part works better with that one, but that's okay. I'm going to persevere through it. Almost at the top there. I'm going to give this a little pull to snug it up. Look at that, beautiful. Go back in. Give it a pull. Grab your fiber fill. We're going to stuff the arms. I'm going to sew up the side of the other one first, and then we'll stuff them together. And I'm going to just get into there and finish that one. There we go. Do that to your second arm. Grab your fiber fill, and I'll see you back. I have them both sewn up on the sides. I'm going to take a bit of fiber fill, and we're going to pop that into there. I always make it firm, and then when I squeeze it, if it comes out the top, I know I have enough in there, and then I just pull that off. That's generally what I do. And then it's just nicely stuffed. All right, we're gonna take our needle. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to go from the corner here, making sure both sides are joined here. I didn't do that. And I'm going to go right across, pull together. Just give that one more little seam. And then I'm going to pinch the two other sides together, and I'm going to come across. That's just shaping the top of my arm. There we go. So our tail is in the center there. You're going to go ahead and you're going to just sew it up to the corner. Only takes 2 little stitches. That's the second. So it's nice and flat. Come across. And do it on this side. Pick up all 4 edges. And into the side. And there we go. We have it's seamed across the top there, and you see how that just kind of rounds it in, but also makes for a nice sewing edge. But what I always do is I take this right back to the center. Give it a little knot so it doesn't gather when you pull on it. And from the center is where I attach it. Now you have to find where your seam is. I think this is where it is. I can't even see it, but this is where the seam is, where we join down the side. I want that to go to the back, not to be in the front. So the first one doesn't matter where you sew it on because it's round, right? And you're going to center the second one. So I'm just going to pick up. I'm going to pick up in the middle there, and then I'm going to go into the arm, pick up, go back down right where I was, and go over just a little bit, and pull tight, then come under that seam again. You only need to do it a couple of times across, and there we go. I'm going to go back in, get underneath that stuffing if I can a little bit, pull through. And here's how I round off the edges of my arms. I don't like a sharp corner there, so I'll go down a row or a stitch just in there like that and pick it up on the side. And when I do that, then I come back in where I went out and come into the center and come underneath to the center, so I prepared to do the other side. And then when I pull on that, watch what it does here. It just makes that round. I think that fine detail makes a big difference in how your end project looks. So that's what I do. So I'm going to go here, go up, go back in, get under there, and I'm going in basically where I came out and then just picking up just a little bit further, pulling real tight. All I need is one more here before I go to the side. Pull tight. Go back in, basically where you came out before. I'm going to go on the side, down a row, pick up, and then go back in and out the center underneath the arm. And get a little tight, but that's good because then you know it's secure. And then when I pull, it rounds off that edge there. And I'm just going to pick up right here, just one little stitch, let that hang, because I do not tie this off in a knot and hide my end until I have the second arm on. Then I know if I have it correct. It's easier to take one off and remove it if you haven't hidden your end. All right, so now this is where my seam was, so that this is the back of my work. So when I put the next one on, I'm going to, when we have our needle in the center here, that helps us to center it here. I'll fix this up and then I'll show you what I mean by that. But we got one arm on, and that will help us determine where the next one's going to go. So I'm going to stuff this one and I'll be right back. Because my yarn tail is in the center, it makes it easy for me to center it here. So I'm going to just follow this up, boop, 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 down. And I'm going to go just a little bit forward, maybe one of these little stitches forward, because I don't want it exactly on the side. I want it a little bit closer to the front than to the back. And then when I put that on, it's centered. Now you just want to make sure that your seam right here is in the back. And then I'm going to sew it on the same way. When you have them on where you think you want them, so that's from the front, you can see from the back, it's not completely centered. There's a bigger distance from here to here in the back than there is in the front, and that's how I like it. Then you can go ahead and make a knot, hide your ends. I want you to take your ears that we made and sew them up the side, cinch the one end and sew it up the side, just like we did the arms. And when you get to that point, I'll meet you back and show you what I do with them from there, all right? Once we have it sewn up the side, we're going to put a knot here just to fix it so it doesn't snug in here when you gather around the top. And we're going, so I just added one little knot there. I'm going to go underneath that top stitch and down and up and down. And this is our E-wrap cast on that we did, and I'm just picking up those stitches and we're going to gather the top. And down. All the way around. I think that's where I started. Yeah. All right, and so then you're going to pull that closed. If it starts to pull on your side, even though I put a knot there, it just pulled on the side there a bit and snugged it up. So I just stretched it out so that I could loosen that again. I'm going to tie one little knot, pop that down with my thumbnail. Then you're going to put your needle into the center, making sure you don't snag the side walls of your piece. You're going to go right through and come out the center on the other side, just like that. Pull through. And we're going to put this into a pancake. It's a little difficult, but you can do it. Into a pancake. And then we're going to just tie off. Just like that. So then when you stretch it, you've got a flat piece. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the row counts for the white nose in just a second. But when you assemble your nose, you're going to do it up to this point. All right. So keep that in mind. You're going to do everything that we did. You're going to do it on the, well, I'll just tell you now, you're going to go over 11 needles for your nose. You're going to go 0, 11 to the left, 0, and back at 0, 11 to the right. So you're going over 22 needles, and you're going to knit 24 rows. That's for the nose, and you're doing that on your bulky machine as well. So doing it the same way we've done all these pieces, E-wrap cast on over 22 needles, and you're going to do 24 rows, and you're going to cast off just as we did these other pieces. And then you're going to sew up the side, and you're going to make it look exactly like this, okay? My little center there is a little bit not very tight, but that's okay. And you're going to make it till it looks like this, and that's all you're going to do with your nose, and then we will attach it, okay? But from this point, for our ears, we're going to take this yarn, and we're going to move it up to the top here. So we're going to go up the side, in between the two layers, and bring it up to the top edge, and I'm going to tie off a knot. I'm going to fold this wider hole on the inside. You're going to fold it in half, just like that. And you're going to just pick up in between the rows, and you're going to sew up the front here, up the top. Just back and forth, just like this. You want it to be sewn nicely together, but you don't want to pull so tight that it gathers in there. You don't want it to gather. You just want it to just have a nice edge. a seam that keeps it closed but doesn't gather in there. All right, go right to the other side. Once you have it all the way to the other side, you're going to just make one knot to secure. Hope this is long enough to sew it on. And there's your ear. Gonna just play with it a little bit, stretch it out. I already attached one. We're gonna attach this other one. So what I did is I went from the center of the arm up to the top, and that's where so from the center of the arm up to the top, that's where the top part went. And then as I sewed down, I just came across forward one row. So the bottom of the ear is just one row closer to the front than the back, than the top of the ear. So I'm going to follow my arm up to the top here. And I went down maybe an inch from the center, picked up, put it on. This is gonna be awkward because it's sliding on the table. But you're gonna do the same thing. You're going to go into your head, use my left hand here, which I'm terrible at. Pick up a piece of the head. Then you're gonna pick up, you're gonna go back into the body, into the head, pull, pick up base, come back in. And I'm basically following that same row, except for when I get at about the halfway point, I'm gonna now go underneath. Here's my center. I'm gonna make sure I go underneath because it's a nice firm place to attach to because of the center. And then we're gonna just keep going, pulling, keeping an eye. Here's the center of my arm. So now I'm gonna start just moving this forward just a very tiny little bit, not much. Don't do it excessively because it'll look funny, but just maybe a half a row. And keep going, pulling it snug. I'm going like every second stitch or so. Even in some cases, a little bit further. This one's 2.5, maybe 3 stitches. And I'm gonna come in, pick up. I'm gonna go up quite a distance there. Come down. Here's how much I have left. I'm gonna go half of it. I'm gonna come in. I'm running out of yarn. I'm going to now go up to the corner here, pick up the corner stitch, go back into the same seam that I was before, pull, and then I'm gonna just go up. So here was where my corner was. I'm gonna go up 1 stitch, come back into the base, go under the head, up to the center of the back, and pull, and that rounds off my ear here as well. I'm gonna see if I have them. And there you go. We have both of our ears placed where they need to be. If you like how they look, then you can tie off your ends in a knot and hide them in your head, cut off your tails. If you don't like how they look, if one's lower than the other or too far back, then you just take one off and adjust it. That's part of crafting, friends. All right, but there's our ears and our arms. Let's make the nose and we'll attach that, then we'll finish our legs. This one's a bit high, so I have to take this little corner down. I can see that now. I'm gonna just take my yarn tail, I'm gonna go up a little ways, and then I'm gonna poke it in, out the center, and pull this a little bit tighter, and I'll get a rounder edge there, and it'll match the other one a little bit better. Here we go, I have my nose. So I did 11 on both sides of 0. So that's 22 needles, and I knit 24 rows, and I did the drawstring cast off. Same as what we've done for every other piece. Now I'm just going to close the end. Just like what we've done. Much different feel working with worsted weight yarn than that thicker yarn. Tie your little knot. You're going to do your mattress stitch down. You're going to take this one. You're going to loop it through your cast on edge there. Drawstring that closed. Bring them together into a pancake, just like we did with the ears. And when I get to that point, we'll do the rest together. Once you have it in your flat circle, you're going to just give it a stretch. You're going to take your yarn up to the edge. Tie a knot to secure. I'm going to put this on the back side now. Then you're going to just hold this over the face. Well, this one seems a little big for this bear. This bear's head must be a little smaller than my pink one, but that's okay. We're going to line it up in the center, and we're going to make sure that the base of our nose here, there's about a ½ an inch from the neck. Don't go all the way down to the neck. I just make it a little bit higher. And then you're going to just pick up in the head, in the face, and come up. Go as close to the piece as you can. And I'm going to make it so that there's a little bit of puffiness in the nose there. You can make your circle smaller if you want. Again, this one's much bigger than it seems. It's stretched a little bit more than what it did for my pink one, but it's okay to have it so that it is protruding. And I'm going to just go as close to the edge as I can, and I'm going to pick up the edge. Another thing you could do is just fold that edge in a little bit. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just folding it in so that there's a little bit more on the inside than there is on the outside. And that makes my circle a little bit smaller for this particular face. I think I need to do that. So I'm changing my edging here. Instead of it being completely in half, I've tucked in the outside edge so that it makes it a little bit smaller. Then I'm going to come up, grab the edge, and go all the way around. Here's what I want you to pay attention to. Don't go so far that you see lines. I have seen that done on some of the projects that I have done. When people post in my group, it's been a while because I say it all the time, but in the beginning when I first posted my circular knitting bears, my cuddle bears or my chubby bears, I would see that there were lines. And so I started making a mention to people and saying, make sure you go as close to the edge as you can so that you do not see a line. You want to make sure that it looks like it's part of the face and that it wasn't sewn on. All right, so I'm going to go all the way around, tucking that inside just a little bit as I go. Gives it a little bit of extra stuffing too. And I'm going to sew it all on. And when I meet back to where I started, I'm going to tie off a knot, hide my end. I'm going to grab some black yarn and put it on my needle. Grab quite a long one, a couple feet, and we're going to finish off the nose and sew on our eyes. What we're going to do next is we're going to come in the side of the head, and here's the center of our nose. We're going to go right above it with our needle. Pull through, leaving enough tail to tie off and hide after. And then I'm going to just go up to the top here, make a triangle. So I'm going to go straight across, just like that. And then come back in. I don't want this to be too wide to begin with, because it ends up getting a little bit wider as you go. You figure it out, the width that you want as you start filling it in. And I will go a little bit wider than this, but I'm going to then go underneath, come up at the edge, pull through, and I'm going to start filling it in. When my point that I'm going to starts to look a little square, take the point down. We're going to end, when we're done filling in this triangle, making the edges a little bit wider, we'll end up where this circle, where the center is here, or maybe even a little bit below. Because if you just stay in that same spot, it squares off and it doesn't look as nice. So I'm going to use my fingers to just position that, come back down, come up at the edge, And smooth it out. Make sure you keep them nice and straight. Don't crisscross them and make them all messy. Just use your finger to guide them into place. And just keep going till you have it filled in, making a little bit wider as you go and coming down a little bit further when necessary. And when we have this shape the way we want, what I do is I end up, when I have it the size that I want, I always go back and I outline the edges, both edges, and then we do the straight piece. All right, so I'm going to get to that point and then I'll meet you back. Once you have it filled in, and you don't want to have it thick, you want to just have one strand going across. And when you have that finished, you can see that this looks jagged. It doesn't look neat. So I go back and I end my stitches by outlining my border, and I can see I need another strand there. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to put another strand there. I had to also add yarn. If you run out of yarn, then what you do is when you go into here, you come out here and you tie off these two, hide your ends, and then just attach another piece the way you started. So now I'm going to outline that, come back into my point, my new point, guide that with my finger. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it on this side now. Look at the difference. Like, it's just like magic. Just makes such a difference to outline it when you're done. And come up at my point. And from there, I'm going to go straight down. Not quite to the end, just where I want the mouth to end. And then come up back to my point. So that's one strand. I'm going to come back down into my base there, under the stuffing, out where I went in, pull through, make these a little bit shorter, tie off, and hide my ends. I'm going to add my eyes, which I don't think I need to do on camera. I'm going to use yarn and this exact needle, and I'm going to sew them on. I'm going to lift up on that, and there we go. I'm going to sew my eyes on, and it's looking like a bear. Then we're going to shape the legs. Okay, so I put this eye on first, and then I carried my yarn underneath, tied that one on, or sewed that one on, and then when I pulled on the end, I can snug this one. Watch how that snugs up a little closer to the head. And then this one was the one I started this one with, and I can pull that a little closer to the head, and I trailed them both out so that I can tie them. And it just, when you're sewing on buttons that have that little end, it just makes it so that they're a lot closer to the head. So I just thought I'd pop on and show you my technique for that. Grab your yarn that's the same color as your bear, and we're going to finish the legs and we'll be done. Taking my larger wool metal needle, which I love, again, I'll link those in the description box below. We can basically use this as our guide, and I'm going to go about where the belly button would be and then a little bit lower. Okay, so if that's where the center of the tummy is, I'm going to go a little bit lower. And I'm going to go straight down. Straight down till it comes out in the middle back here. So you can move it over if you have to, but I think that should be good. And I'm going to take these two. I do this differently than when I first started doing these bears. Not on the machine, not on the flatbed, but on my circular knitting machine. I did these a little bit differently, but I think this works just as good. And I'm going to, this is easier the way I'm doing it now, but I'm going to tie a knot here. Just like that. Make sure it's centered. And then I'm going to just go back down, come out in the same place. I'm going to move this one over just a smidgen. I'm going to pull on that, I'm going to come around. I'm going to go one more time. I'm going to pull and pull. And then I'm going to trail this one, up through the center here. Oops, I don't like that little line there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Up through the center. There we go. By pulling on that, I pulled it in. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Just into there and up through the center. Give it a snug pull. Tie these two. That's how easy it is to do the legs. And one more. Hide my ends. Under the stuffing, out the side, pull up, cut off. Oh, he's so cute. And there you go. I'm going to tie a ribbon around his neck and he'll be done. Or you can just leave him like this, or you can make a bow, or you can make a little scarf, whatever your little heart desires. All right, there you go. We have finished a bear. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I know that some child is going to love to receive one of these bears. And I know that the ones that you make are going to be cherished by whoever you give them to as well. So thanks again for joining me. Thanks for being a part of my channel community. I really, really appreciate it. All right, friends, take care. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.